Begin Self-Publishing, episode 124. Time to kill the sacred cow.
Interested in self-publishing but don't know where to start? Want to get your book onto Amazon? Want to hold your paperback book in your hands? Learn how on the Begin Self-Publishing podcast with your host, Tim Lewis.
Now, before people start complaining that I'm suggesting that we start killing live animals in my podcast, of course I'm being metaphorical. Of course, the sacred cow comes from in the Hindu tradition in India, where cows are considered as sacred animals and are not supposed to be killed, hence the lack of beef products from India. And of course, for anybody who knows about the term a sacred cow is something that is kept around basically for reasons of nostalgia or tradition, or just because it's the way things have always been done. And I've recently made a decision to kill one of my own sacred cows. Now, this hasn't really got an awful lot to do with self-publishing in general. It's much more of a personal decision. But in my sort of business journey, I've always been very keen just to have products, to sell products. So books, or maybe like create a course or something, which I never ever got around to creating a course. But all my income was going to be from products. And there are very good reasons why I kind of was very keen on that idea, because there is this idea that if you start down the road of selling time for money, then you end up just working enormously long hours, and everything just ends up with this being overloaded from a time management point of view. However, lately, well, actually for the last few years, I get so many people coming up to me and asking me for calls and like advice on podcasting, on self-publishing. And I'm always been like, no, I don't do consulting. I don't do like coaching calls. I don't do any of that. All I create is products. But then I never get around to actually creating the products. I do eventually finish all the products, especially the big marquee items. But it takes a long period of time because I'm creating all this content and I'm going to conferences and I'm doing all sorts of things. Now, not entirely related to this, but I've got a few large expenses coming in that I need to cover. And while that's not going to bankrupt me and make me have to go and sort of beg in the gutter with a paper cup, it does mean that I have to be mindful of what I'm spending on like conferences and the like. So I'm starting to look at like alternative income streams. And then in the last few weeks, I've been approached by somebody from the US to help run a large company's podcast. I didn't actually hear anything further from that, and I've also been approached by a few people on the coaching side. So I finally decided to slay that sacred cow that I've been having, where I won't do coaching calls and I won't do like one-to-one support. I'm not going to do it full time by any means. I'm going to block out just a few days and a few hours a week for doing this, but I've gone to the effort now of creating a separate calendar booking system. So I've already got a booking system that I use called Schedule Once, which is like off-the-shelf product. It's actually not too expensive, and it's not stupidly cheap either, but it lets you basically give somebody a link and then they can book an hour or 50 minutes or half an hour of your time. And it's also, as I worked out a few sort of months ago, but haven't got around to actually working out now, it's got an option to take a PayPal payment when you book a slot. So I've now created a separate calendar for consulting calls. So I have in effect started to slay this sacred cow that I'm not going to be selling my time for money. I suppose the thing I would say to you is, what are your sacred cows? And why have you got them? I'm certainly not suggesting that we kill any kind of animals, metaphorical or otherwise. There are probably very good reasons why it comes down to your principles as to why you do particular things. And I'm sure now I start to accept like coaching calls, I'll probably be thinking, remembering why I didn't actually like the idea in the first place. And I'm certainly not quite there yet. I've now got a link where people can actually book it, but I need to go to the next stage and put that on my beginselfpublishing.com website and my stoneandpress.com website. But what are the things that you've always just thought, I'm not going to do that? What are the things that you kind of never think about again? Have things changed? Is it really the time that you make a change and you start doing this thing that you said you would never do? Is it time for you to slay your sacred cows? Or are they still valid? I think even if you suddenly decide that, yeah, you're going to keep doing what you're still doing, if you at least look at the other options, maybe you could get a part-time job if you're running short of money, or maybe you could go to more conferences, or maybe you could actually run your own conference or something like that you've always thought you would never do, but actually things have changed and you've not realised because you've not looked at it for a while. We always tend to just focus on the here and now, and we never look more broadly at everything in our lives, especially our business or author lives. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to be soon putting up a link where people can book me for an hour and pay for that privilege. I've also, obviously, I've got an option for people to book half an hour for free if they want to talk about consulting. Though that's not just an excuse for everybody to keep booking the same half hour all the time. So, as far as this podcast go, I'm going to carry on doing interview shows mainly. Apart from these odd cases where I haven't got a guest booked or I wanted to talk about something going on. I am looking to try and get some people who I'm going to be helping with their books to appear on the show and be interviewed. Got one person in mind, but I need to sort of strong arm them to get them on the show. So that may be something coming up as a periodical every month or so. I'll be tracking somebody to help them self-publish their books. So I will talk to you guys on the next show, which I think will be an interview.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please stop by iTunes and rate and leave a review. This helps make the show more visible. For free resources, show notes, and other helpful content, join the community at beginselfpublishing.com.